Okay, here's the male, and you got the male bladder, and then you got the prostate gland. I'm going to talk about this next time. And you have the urethra begins from the bladder through the prostate. Then it goes through this little muscular area for a couple centimeters. That's the membranous urethra, then the penile urethra. So the male bladder's got three components: prostatic, membranous, and penile. Let me talk about that next time. Moses will talk about it in the lecture. Okay? Female just has a single, short, 4 to 5 centimeter in length urethra. That's it, right there. There's the urinary bladder beneath the uterus, and there's the vagina. Blood flow in, right? Renal artery, lobar, interlobar, arcuate, interlobular is up. It's covered by a capsule. This is the cortex. See the thread-like appearance of the pyramids?
Mm-hmm.
That's a bunch of collecting ducts in there. This is the renal medulla, and then this area is the renal sinus with the minor calyces. This would be a major, those would be majors. This big area here is the pelvis, and that leads to the ureter. Here we see all three. Renal artery entering, renal vein exiting, and the ureter exiting. Right? This gray tissue is the capsule, the fibrous outer covering. Here's the renal cortex. That's where most of the nephrons are. You can actually see the collecting ducts with the tissue around them here. Look at that. Kind of thread-like. See them? Yeah. Pyramids. That's the medulla. And then the renal pelvis. There's a minor calyx or two in there you can see. Renal pelvis, ureter, out. Okay? So, of all the plasma that comes in here, in the blood, how much of that plasma exits here?
99%.
99%. What happened to the 1% that didn't? It went this way and becomes urine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen that enough, and it's similar to what we see over here on this chart. But the arcuate, interlobular, afferent, glomerulus, right? Proximal tubule. But what happens to most of the blood that doesn't get filtered? It leaves the efferent arteriole, becomes the peritubular capillaries. And why are they in such close proximity here? So they can reabsorb. And that takes oxygen. So the deoxygenated blood finally finds its way out the same way it came in. Interlobular vein, arcuate vein, or lobar vein, renal vein, etc., vena cava. And the 1% that didn't, well, it goes through the proximal, down through the loop, back up, and to the other side now, the distal convoluted tubule, which forms with its wall and the afferent wall the juxtaglomerular apparatus, which helps control glomerular filtration rate, doesn't it? Okay. There's the interlobular artery coming in, and there's those muscular afferents over to the glomeruli. And then all this stuff is peritubular capillary. You don't see any of the tubule here. All you're seeing is the blood vessels. So here's the interlobular. There's that muscular afferent, see? Right here. And there's the thin efferent, and then there's the glomerulus.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's like this. Like that. Okay. All this is peritubular capillary. What you don't see is the renal tubule. That's not shown here. This is just the blood vessels. Okay. There's a glomerulus, right? There's the capsular space. So leading away, this must be the proximal tubule. It is, proximal tubule. But that's going to loop down into the medulla and come back around the other side as the